I'm going to have two of my senior students, Rebecca and Sean Knight, demonstrate the Cudgel Set the way that I've taught it to them. Now, during this filming, we're going to show different angles, and I'm going to go through some fundamental reasons of why we have changed what we have changed. For us, the Cudgel Set is an actual fighting set. Would you ever use a staff? Most likely not. But what it gives to you is the reassurance that your rotational torque is strong, that your body mass movement is strong, and that the set itself, when striking, will actually cause damage. So before I do all of that, however, I'm going to show you on what I believe is the best staff, or wood, should I say, that you can choose for a staff. Its proper height and its proper width and circumference. Thank you. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the weapons themselves, the woods, the height, the circumference of it, and the reason for that. So this is Mrs. Rebecca Knight, and she is my student, and I'm going to take her staff, and obviously she has a staff that fits her primarily. Okay, the staff should be at least the top of the head, preferably about an inch higher. The reason for that is it gives you more extension without being cumbersome. Okay, the circumference usually, now this one's about 3/4 of an inch, I would say. 3/4 of an inch to an inch. Depends on the size of the hand that's gripping it. I have a large hand, but this would be fine with me too. What you don't want is you don't want to get a stick that is so large that you can barely get your arm around, or your hand around, excuse me. And then the reason for that is that when you start doing the Cudgel Set the way it's designed, the speed and the circumference and the energy that comes off of the stick can pull it right out of your hands, and you can lose the whole, not only will you lose the stick, but you also lose your stance. But on the other hand, here we have Mr. Knight. This is Mr. Sean Knight. Okay, he's the owner. You notice the difference in height. Preferably, it should be, every stick should be just about to the very top of your head, but I prefer it to go at least an inch to an inch and a half above the head. See, this would be a perfect stick for me if you kind of look from the side. I like a little bit more length. Now, there are people who like them shorter because they're faster. The problem is, as we go through the set, and I want to use both of these folks to show how they're attacked by the stick, as you are attacked by somebody also with a stick or a sword, which was one of the original reasons for using the staff set. It was sword against stick. That extra length will certainly give you a better shot at winning the battle. She's going to do the first part of the Cudgel Set, no salutation. She's just going to start right from here. Okay, notice the one thing where her hands are. Okay, her hands are equally apart. Okay, always remember that. And I'm not going to go through each one of these things, but also notice that the arm, if you turn to the camera, you notice that the arm is here. It's not here, and it's not way up here. It's right here. The reason for that is centrifugal force, rotational torque, is going to put energy into the end of the staff. If you have it too high, the energy is blocked by your hand. If you have it too low, then the end of the stick starts to wander in the places you don't want it to go. One of the things you got to remember is that this also is not only a striking surface, it's also a blocking surface. So she's going to face 9 o'clock, and she's going to do the first move of the Cudgel Set. Notice the number one thing that you see that's different from the staff set is that her elbow is tucked in. There's a reason for that. If she were to take her elbow to the other side, and I had some experience, that would be the first thing that I would attack, would be the elbow, to go after the elbow. And a lot of times, you'll see some people will do even the Cudgel Set with the elbow out like that. The Chinese see that, Okinawans, they all see that. They want to go after that. Once they disable that, this hand is essentially useless. So she tucks it. Then she continues on to go to the next move. Now, again, wide kneel. Notice the uppercut with the hand as opposed to the old way. And I'm not criticizing. I just want to show you the difference. I'm not trying to criticize. Remember the old way, how to do it? It has been a while, huh? What it is that the old way, where our hand was like this. And you'll notice the difference between Miss Rebecca's hand and my hand. You see where my elbow is. Can you see her hand? Okay. Notice the elbow? It's too high. Same thing as in the first move. She's got pretty much a really guarded area here because the stick can be moved either way to prevent any attack. For me, it's easy to hit. So watch for the elbows. I'm going to have her do a couple of the moves, and then I'll tell her when to stop. Okay, let's just start from the beginning. Elbow in, wide kneel for the uppercut strike, down, sweep, and strike. Okay, let's go back to that again. Watch one more time. And go one. Now, everybody pay really close attention because this is what we want. That's a block. When she comes underneath like that, go back to the first part. When she comes underneath like that, watch this. The attack is here. I'm attacking here. When she comes forward, she wants to sweep that away and strike down. She wants to catch this before I hit her with the stick. I prefer to use a shorter stick if I'm going to attack. Okay, do it again. And stop. Okay, now she has to transition to the next moves, which are, notice the sweep down again, protecting the lower body. And here's the part that becomes pretty difficult for a lot of people. You'll notice how low she is and how far back her foot is. The reason for that is she's essentially loading up her hips so that when she blocks and continues the spin, she's going to come back and strike to the kidney. That centrifugal force will give her a power blow with this part of the staff. Okay, let's do that part one more time. And finishes there. Do the other side. Very good. Yes, sir. And here we are. Now, you'll notice that although his step back here was pretty good, it's a little bit more difficult for men to get into that stance. Some men who are thin can get into it quite easily. Some of us with larger legs and, with bigger mass, that's not that easy. The reason we get into that move in the first place, let's go through that one, just the first one. Yeah. Is, as what I said about Mrs. Knight, is that he's wound up. And that's what we want. We want him to come here. But watch what happens. Now, I'm going to have him go a little bit quicker. He's going to hit me in the kidney, sort of. And he's going to sweep, block. He's going to come around. And it's going to come in and bam, and hit. When he comes through, that will make a large blow go here. And what it is, it's a counter torque. As he comes this way, his hips go that way. And the counter torque gives it a good blow. You want to hand me, Mrs. Knight, would you hand me that? Yeah. Thank you. So now I'm going to have Mr. Knight do it again, only he's going to have a target. And on this target, what we're looking for him not just to muscle his way through it, we're looking for him to, okay, go ahead. No, actually hit it harder. Yeah. Good. Well, we're looking for him to strike it using the centrifugal force along with the energy that has come down to the long part of the staff. That's the other reason we do that. Okay, let's go a couple more steps further. So just like most of the Kempo forms these days, and all days, we're going to do it on the other side. Good. One more set, yeah. Good. 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 All right, good. Okay, I'm going to have her do her part from the back angle, kind of give you an idea of how the staff should look. What I mean by that is when she does this angle, the stick should not be out here and out here like this. The stick stays as close to her body as possible. She wants to keep it as close to her center, her torque center, and where most of the weight of her body is, which is on her hips. All right. Well, you can start from the beginning. They'll love it. And there's the sweep, the strike. And now we go to the next part. That's backward. Yeah. Okay, stop. Right there, you notice that she has done another transition. The transitions are pretty much an X in line. You know, they come close to the body. That's what makes them a little bit different, because the closer to the body, the more protection. From here, then, we go into the next, which is we call that the tiger fork. And I'll explain it to you in just a second. The other side. We're working with a wood floor, so we don't want to damage it. Good, thank you. Now, Mr. Knight, you come in, please, and you're going to face 12 o'clock. Sure. The reason I'm changing back and forth like this, I want to show how the set is exactly the same, but the power generation and also the economy of motion that Mrs. Knight has is not lost on Mr. Knight. It's just that he has to work with a wider and larger body, okay, and generate the same amount of power as she would if you were to change it over. Here we go. Whatever you want to start. Yeah, but I just want to get that last part in there. I'm there. Called Tiger's Fork. Now, let me show you what he's doing here. He's slowing it down on the end purposely so that he doesn't bust his floor. So once you try it again, we're going to do a full cudgel strike. We have if you can't see it, you may not be able to see it. You can see it. We have a bag there. And that's what we call a cudgel strike. Okay, and then he continues. And forward, and close up, right there. We'll stop right there. Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Now, they call this the Tiger's Fork because the Chinese used to have, or still have, depending on which system of Chinese Kung Fu you talk to, they have a big, large fork that has 3 tongs in it. And it was called Tiger's Fork because that's how they would spear tigers or large animals or fight men or horses or whatever. Okay? The thing is that you notice here, Mrs. Knight, and Mr. Knight did it too, see where her hand is? It's not out here. Could you imagine a tiger? I'm not as big as a tiger, but she could not hold me up. If it's out here, it would go right through her. Also, some people say you put it against the leg. You never do that. Okay? You always keep it right there. It's on her hip. She's got her elbow locked. So that, okay, go this way and face me. So that I'm 225 and she's not. Trust me. Okay? Back to the front, please. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bag down so that she can do the same thing as Mr. Knight did. Because I want to show this woman who is a lot lighter than both Mr. Knight and myself can still generate a tremendous amount of force. Very good. Okay, now this kind of completes pretty much close to what I call halfway. Okay, thank you. Mr. Knight? I don't really care if it's halfway or 3/4, but people like to have landmarks to where, okay, I'm halfway up there or halfway through it. And this is a little bit, like I say, this is kind of the meat of another part of the cudgel set that I particularly find difficult in a good way, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, next move. Next move. the one thing I'm going to have her do is I'm going to have her face me here. And I want to kind of give you an idea of what that last series of movements was. So it's going to come to the point to where she comes into the twist stance. Okay, the idea of this, can I have your staff? Sure. The idea of this is that I'm trying to, remember I said, they go after joints. They want to go after those joints and ankle, okay? Not to mention the head. Ideally what's happened is I've come in and I've struck and she blocks it. Her target now, although her legs are shorter, is my knee, my back knee here, okay? So she comes through and she side kicks the knee. That brings my head here, and they call this the beheading. Takes the head off. Now you notice that she went all the way to the floor when she did it. That's the way. Now I'm going to go another way. We're going to face opposite directions so you can see the back knee strike. So she's there, catches it. I'm starting, and before I can load up, the beheading takes place. Now she's not doing it because she doesn't want to. She might want to get promoted again at some point. But anyway, she would go all the way to the floor. And when you hear that, that means that's the complete follow-through. If you had a large blade here, it would be a beheading. More likely, this here is going to break the neck into so many pieces it won't matter about if the head's on or off. So let's go back to where we were before. Okay, so now, you face forward. Yes, ma'am. Going to do this. Now, right here, the idea is that you pick him up. Mr. Knight, please. Sure. You don't mind? The idea is I've just kicked his leg out, his back leg out, and I'm going to go over the top and do the beheading. This move catches the neck, brings him up, you know, and as he goes backwards, I follow him, and I poke him in the heart. Then I go to the other side, and we'll show you that in a minute. Good. All right, Mrs. Knight, facing forward, please. I consider this another milestone. This kind of now starts creating an area where you saw Mr. Knight do it earlier. It starts to create an area to where there's spinning and turning and a lot of stick work in it. Okay, go forward. Go ahead, continue. Keep going. Good. Okay, now she's broken it down, which is what I want. Originally in the tempo staff set, there were crescent kicks, or we used to call them tornado kicks because of the angle of the foot. Not important in this scene. Right now what it is she takes a block and she's defending her lower body from me trying to attack her knees and ankles. And I just thought, I'm not going to show you all of the defenses on this because the important thing is to learn the set first. I'm trying to give you tips. Now watch Mrs. Knight do it again, a little bit quicker this time, and give her some of that smoothness, okay? Would you like to start from? Wherever you want, but not from the beginning. There you go. Continue. And then stop. Good. Mr. Knight, please. Sure. And go, yeah, and stop. All right, we're going to continue on now, and we're coming to the ending part. As you remember, when we started the Cudgel set, we started facing 12 o'clock. We are going to end it facing 12 o'clock. Obviously, that's the whole rhythm of the form. So what happens now, Mr. Knight has just stepped up. And if you watch on how he does it, he is sitting in this position, and what he's going to do, it's going to look like he's in a canoe. First of all, go ahead. He's going to block, and then he's going to row the canoe and drop. That is a takedown. It used to be a takedown to where you would hit high, where you would catch your opponent behind the leg and you would take him down this way. I eliminated that because if he's that close and you want to show just that one technique for closeness, it's going to be kind of awkward. So now pretty much what it is, it's a block of a stick. He's going to come up, get his foot out of the way, and he's going to strike and disarm the other person. Now always remember your elbows have to be straight. Here we go. And that's the end. Now I'm going to have Mrs. Knight come in, and she's going to pretty much repeat the same thing. So again, look for the difference in power. Look for the difference in smoothness. Okay, but always watch what comes off of the stick. It doesn't matter the size necessarily or the gender, but what comes off the stick. What kind of energy is coming off the stick, and that's what we're mostly concerned about. Go ahead, start. Yeah. Very good. One of the things we like to do on this, if I have your stick, one of the things we like to do on this, or I like to see on this, and they're doing it, and I want to show this. I never got this. I don't get this. So I had a very, very wise Chinese Kung Fu teacher about Mrs. Knight's size show me how to do it right. And what it is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw, my hips are going to throw the stick out. And as they go, I'm going to hold on to it. And I go into a bow to do this. And I pull, bow. This is wrong. They didn't do it wrong, so let's get that out of the way. This is wrong. But I like to see this, pull, back, step. So we want to make sure that if you can, we call it the whoosh factor. I think that's a word somewhere. But we call it the whoosh factor. That means that you're getting the proper amount of torque in your, now I'm going to have you finish again. So your proper amount of torque in your hips and in your shoulders. So Mrs. Knight comes up and does the block and the sweep. And now she goes. And she got some whoosh. And now finish. And stop on, go ahead, finish, stop. So now she's finishing up. Finishing up, this also used to be a block, a disarm, and all this other stuff. I don't show that anymore. It's not the point. The point is on the proper stance. Notice the compactness of the student. You know, rather than have the stick going all over the place, which it's not supposed to be, it has power. Now she finishes this part and continue. Now, right when she's here, she comes with the stick up in the air and her legs are locked and then drops it down. What she's doing is she's clearing, supposedly, this is not me speaking, she's clearing kind of a peaceful spot for her. And now she finishes. Thank you. Mr. Knight. And all this. Very good.